Hello everyone, welcome to my first ever YouTube video. My name is Maksat Ibrahimov. I am from Bishkek, Kyrgyzstan. However, I have been living in Canada for 7 years now. I just moved to Toronto a couple weeks ago, and I had the chance to visit and see the UFC 297 fight card in person right here, live from Toronto, Ontario. Going down at Scotiabank Arena. I'm just here today to share my thoughts about the card in general. We're gonna be mostly focusing, of course, on the main event itself. Just want to run down the card here real quick. Of course, we got Jimmy Flick beating Malcolm Gordon, second round submission. Jasmine Jadzavicius beating Kashera. That was actually one of the performances of the night. Johan Lannes losing to Sam Patterson, the UK man. Then also we got Gillian Robertson beating Poliana Viana, which was actually quite surprising. Performance of the night once again. Seri City losing to Ramon Tavares. Actually a fight that I watching it live, watching it cage side, I think it was the fight of the night, or right after Sean Strickland, Dricus Du Plessis. I believe that this was the second best fight of all night, and I actually saw that Seri won, but that was a very, very close fight. Once again, a split decision win for Ramon Tavares right here. We got Charles Jourdain against Sean Woodson. Once again, Sean Woodson beating the fellow Canadian. Brett Katona losing to Garrett Armfield, and those were all the prelims. And all of the male Canadian fighters lost at UFC 297. So Canada did take an L on this one, but I don't think that this should be too much of a setback. And I mean, Canada has a very bright future in MMA. So we got Arnold Allen and Movsar Evloev opening up the main card here, featherweight bout, of course. And actually I got a chance to meet Arnold Allen at the Fighters Hotel. Had a quick conversation with him. I actually used to live in England before. I used to live in Leicester and Birmingham, and we got to talk a little bit about football. I literally told Allen that I believe that he's championship material. He has all the potential to become a featherweight champion in the UFC one day. I just think that he needs a little bit more self-confidence and more self-belief in himself. But this was a very close fight between Arnold Allen and Movsar Evloev. I was very happy to see Arnold Allen being able to defend a lot of the takedowns. I mean, of course, Movsar Evloev now moves up to 18-0, and it's probably very close to being one of those next contenders at featherweight. Chris Curtis, Marc-Andre Barriaud. I love Marc-Andre Barriaud, great Canadian fighter. Proudly representing Canada. So that was more of a sparring match. I believe that a lot of people agree. So it wasn't a great fight. I believe that most of the card, kind of underperformed and disappointed a little bit by most of the card. Once again, it wasn't a great card to begin with. Not the most stacked card. They weren't able to replace a lot of the fights that got cancelled. But nevertheless, it was a great night of fights. I still, it was my second UFC event that I ever went to, so I really enjoyed it. Once again, coming from Bishkek, Kyrgyzstan, I never thought that I would have the opportunity to meet professional UFC fighters, talk to them, see a UFC event in real life. I mean, these are things that I never even dreamed of. So I really enjoyed myself there. We got Neil Magny beating Mike Malott. Of course, Mike Malott, he was very hyped. He was seen as the future of Canadian MMA, and a very disappointing loss here for Mike Malott. TKO in the third round. Mike Malott, of course, was winning the majority of that fight, and I think he just gassed himself, and Neil Magny's experience and his toughness, and the fact that he faced everyone at welterweight. Really played a part, and that's how he was able to come out victorious. Of course, you got NU Raquel Pennington beating Mayra Bueno Silva. To be honest, I had zero interest in this fight. I went to the UFC in Vancouver, UFC 289, where Amanda Nunes beat Irene Aldana and retired. So to be honest, I do understand that Amanda beats all of them. So this wasn't a fight that I was particularly excited about. So, and I didn't think that it deserved a co-main event status. I feel like even Sean Strickland himself mentioned that there could have been a much better co-main event, but it is what it is. So now moving to the main event of the evening, we had Sean Strickland fighting Dricus Du Plessis, and at the end of this fight we heard and knew South Africa's first ever UFC champion, our new middleweight champion of the world, Dricus Du Plessis. This fight was amazing. Both guys promised a war. Both guys gave it to us. I personally, watching it live, I had it 3-2 Strickland. I saw that Strickland did enough to win. I always believe that a contender has to do something more and really take the belt off the champ. So I was really surprised to see that, but I also did see on the internet that a lot of people think that this was a robbery. This was not a robbery by any stretch of imagination. It was a very, very close fight. Could have gone either way. However, once again, I still had it for Sean Strickland. I actually got a chance to take pictures with both of these fighters. Met them at the Fighters Hotel. Both men, real professionals. Such kind-hearted humans. It was a super close fight, and I am really, really excited to see what's next for both of these men. I really don't think that an immediate rematch is something that's that's completely off the table. I think that an immediate rematch makes a lot of sense, and I wanted to focus more on what's next for each one of these gentlemen coming up in their next fights. I believe that Dricus Du Plessis has many options. Dricus Du Plessis, South Africa. The man represents his nation with all, very proud, very proudly. He's a great athlete, a great professional. Just beat Robert Whittaker, now defeats Sean Strickland to become the new middleweight champion of the world. Once again, congratulations to Dricus. What's next for Dricus Du Plessis? Of course, you immediately think about their hatred and rivalry between himself and Israel Adesanya. I think that fight makes a lot of sense. That could be a headliner for UFC 300, given both men are ready to go. Another option for Dricus, I think, would be once again the immediate rematch versus Sean Strickland. I think that fight makes a lot of sense while it's still hot, and there is a lot of controversy on who won this fight. So I think that this fight also sells itself once again, and once again it's a great option for UFC 300 main event. I think that everyone would pay to watch that. Then there is more options for Dricus Du Plessis. Personally, the South African himself mentioning that he would love to fight Alex Pereira, either if Alex Pereira goes down, which I think that Pereira doesn't mind, coming down to middleweight for one last shot at the middleweight strap, or Dricus Du Plessis can move up to light heavyweight and challenge him there. But I know that there is already some other contenders lined up, and of course another option would be Khamzat Boris Chimaev versus Dricus Du Plessis. For UFC 300, I think that if they do, I think that if they make the fight Dricus Du Plessis versus Israel Adesanya, I think that fight would be much better off keeping both men and doing that fight in Africa, if that's the route that the UFC want to go. However, out of all of those options, my personal choice would be Sean Strickland, Dricus Du Plessis 2 at UFC 300 main event. What's next for Sean Strickland? Guys, I was really mind blown by Sean Strickland. I was never a huge fan of Sean. Didn't really pay much attention to him as of late. Even after he beat Israel Adesanya, I still wasn't on the train. However, this fight week I really became a big fan of Sean Strickland. I learned a lot about his childhood story. It really touched my heart. and just the man that Sean Strickland is. I believe that a lot of a lot of the Western fan base really resonates with him. I mean, Sean Strickland, Chris Curtis, Eric Nixick, that team, that Extreme Couture team, everyone there is so nice. They're such amazing human beings. I don't understand a lot of the hatred coming towards Sean Strickland, and I did learn about Alex Lee, who was one of those journalists asking Sean Strickland very controversial questions leading up to the fight on the media day, and I'm gonna make a separate video about that topic. I really want to focus and make one video about Sean Strickland and my opinions about him, and how he really inspired me in many ways. From now on, I'm a huge fan, and definitely I'm going to be watching him very closely from this point. However, what's next for Sean Strickland? I mean, once again, Sean Strickland, Dricus Du Plessis 2 makes a lot of sense personally for me. Sean Strickland versus the winner of Paulo Costa, Robert Whittaker, makes a lot of sense. I mean, you could really match Sean Strickland with anyone, and for sure he would answer the phone call. He would be the first person to answer the phone call for UFC 300. And I mean, Sean Strickland versus Hamza Chimaev makes a lot of sense. So there is just limitless potential of different fights for both men. I don't think that Sean Strickland's stock dropped at all after this event, after losing the belt. I think that he really established himself as a star in the UFC. He really found his fan base. He's, even if he never becomes champ again, he's always going to be a star for the UFC. He's always going to be a huge draw. He will always be. I believe that now he established himself to be in the same realm as Dustin Poirier, Justin Gaethje's of the world, Max Holloway's. He's always going to be. He's always going to have a huge stock from this point. So I don't think that either man lost too much stock after this weekend, and I think that the future is very exciting in the middleweight division. Certainly the future is very exciting for Sean Strickland, Dricus Du Plessis. Once again, guys, this was my breakdown of UFC 297, which went down live here in Toronto, Ontario, and I was there to witness it all from Scotiabank Arena in person. The atmosphere was great. It was a very long card. I really enjoyed myself out there. I did attend a lot of the UFC events throughout the week. I'm going to be sharing a lot more information on the, on that, and which fighters I got to interact with and which fighters I got to meet. I had some really cool moments, and some real one-on-one time with some of the fighters where I got to ask them a lot of different questions. And yes, absolutely, that's going to be some great content that is absolutely coming up. Guys, please stay patient with me. Once again, this is my first ever YouTube video. As I gain more experience, as I grow more in the field, my content is going to become much better. It's going to become much, the quality is going to improve. This is the first one. But I really wanted to get this started and get this going while the fight is still, fresh in our minds. So once again, guys, thank you very much. Please subscribe. Please let me know in the comments what you thought about the fight, what you thought about UFC 297, what you thought about the fight card, and what you think is next for Sean Strickland and Dricus Du Plessis. Once again, thank you very much, guys. Your boy is out.